Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And just so you know, the default view for this is that the video is on, but unless you feel like sharing your video, there's no reason why you need to. So let me ask you to head down to the dashboard at the bottom of your screen there, and you can turn off your video if you want. And also, if you think you're going to have any background noise, you know, barking dogs, road construction, and so on, if you wouldn't mind muting as well. That being said, whenever you have a question, please jump in. I want to make sure that, that this training is really working for you. And so if there's anything that's not clear, please jump in, and you can do that by unmuting and asking a question, or down there on the dashboard towards the right, there's also that chat feature. So you can just go ahead and click chat as well. So as I mentioned, some people have already sent in questions. Thank you, that's very helpful. And there are some advanced issues I'm planning on covering today. If you have any other questions, any other burning questions that you want to make sure we cover, please send those in. And I am recording this video. There are a couple people who couldn't attend. And so I'm going to be sending out a link afterwards to all registrants. Okay, so you will get a link of this recording as well. All right, so let's go ahead and hop out to the desktop. And also, I'm exiting there for a second. So I feel like I've met most of you as I saw your names come in. I've been able to work with most of you before. For those of you that I haven't, my name is Claire Fowler. I'm one of the main caseload manager people at Mediate.com. So if I haven't worked with you yet, I look forward to working with you. And I hope you know that whenever you have any questions, you can call our office. I'll show you a screen at the end which has our information, but you can call our office at 541-345-1629, or you can email us. We're at support@caseloadmanager.com. All right, so now let's hop out and, okay, here we go. So I'm going to minimize my video just to get my head out of the way. There we go. Okay. So obviously, this is the caseload manager. We're looking at the home screen right now. As you all know, there are 5 main hubs: calendar, activities, mail, reports, and then down here we have the cases center. Okay. We also have a couple of new features that I wanted to tell you about. Up here in settings, if I go halfway down to global settings, there's a new feature here called Ombuds Option. Now, clearly, most mediation offices are not Ombuds offices. So for a lot of you, this won't apply, but I just wanted to let you know about this new feature. What this does is that as soon as a case is closed, it will remove any identifying participant information, meaning first name, last name, street address, phone number, and email, okay? And you can choose for what person types. In other words, you might want to remove all the participant information, but not the attorney information, okay? And so for those Ombuds offices, just know that you have this option available. I'm assuming that most of you don't want it, so just make sure that somebody doesn't inadvertently change this option, okay? And it would take a lot of work. You would need to call our office and actually activate this, but don't do that unless you're very, very sure that you want that to happen, because this information will be permanently deleted from your system, okay? All right, so that's a great feature for Ombuds offices. If you are not an Ombuds office, you're probably not that impressed. Okay, so the next feature, reminders. So I'm hopping back to my settings menu, and just so you know, my main plan here is, I'm clicking on the support center for a moment. My main plan is to go through a lot of these advanced options that are available for administrators, okay? So you see in here, exporting, custom fields. There are some new features available in custom fields I want to show you about, and reminders, deadlines, and surveys, okay? So if you have any questions on what we're talking about, all this is available here in the administrator section. But again, you can always just contact us by clicking contact. Anyway, so we'll go back here to our caseload manager, and I am going to begin down here in automated follow-ups. So let's say that I wanted to send an email out to, that every time I created a new calendar item, I wanted to send an email to people saying, here are the directions to our office, okay? So we need to work backwards. So the end result that we want to send them are the directions to our office. So first we need to create that. So first I'm going to click on mail, and I am going to create a new template. Okay, so I'll click new template here in the upper left. Then I will click edit. All right, and now I am going to enter the subject. We'll just say directions to office. Okay. And now, of course, I'm going to use my text substitutions because I love them. They are a time saver. Thank you for using our office for your case, something like that. For your upcoming meeting, please find us by, I don't know, flying past the second star, okay? Something like that. Thank you. Office 867-5309. There we go. Okay, so I've now created an email called, a template called Directions to Office. So I'll add that to my stored emails. Okay, so we see it right there in the templates, Directions to Office. As you know, we can either send this out to people, right? So it can be sent as an email, or I can send it as a PDF, or I can print it and snail mail it. So it's up to you. Either way, we have that template added now. Okay, so now I get to decide when I want that to go out, all right? So I'm going to click automated follow-ups. I'm going to create a new follow-up called send directions. And I'm going to add a follow-up email. See that link on the right? Okay, so I'll click that follow-up email. Number and sequence, this means, let's say I'm going to be sending out 5 emails. So this is saying, is this the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth? And I'm only sending out 1, so I really just have 1 option here. So I'm going to click 1. It is the first one in the sequence of 1. Number of days lag before this is triggered. In other words, do I want there to be a delay? And I don't. I want them to get the directions to my office as soon as possible. So I'm going to say 0 days lag. I want this to go out right away. Select template. So I'll click that template I just created, directions to office. And then it says within the given case, right, because I'm going to be sending this from a case, send to, and I want this to go to all the parties in this case. You can see I have a lot of options here, but hopefully my staff know how to get to the office by now. And I want to make sure everyone else knows how to get here. So I'm clicking all parties. I hit save. So there we go. Ta-da! I have a new follow-up. Okay. So we've done all the background work. We created our template and we created our automated follow-up. So what actually triggers it? Well, here we go. So I will click on a case. Let's say it's a brand new case. And I am going to create a new calendar item. We'll say that this is our mediation for next Wednesday, 9:30. It's going to be 3 hours. I want to make sure that everyone is included, okay? And we'll keep all the staff on there. Now scrolling down, you can see I've created a lot of follow-ups. Scrolling down, I am selecting this one at the bottom, send directions. What that means is, as soon as I save this calendar item, then Caseload Manager is going to send directions to the parties. Okay? So that's how you do it. That's how you create an automated follow-up. Obviously, you can make this as complex as you want. You can add lots and lots of email follow-ups and have a couple days lag in between. You can also have the schedule calendar items, which will show up on your staff member's calendar. But hopefully this is enough to get you the basic information. You create a template. Let's close out of here. Update, and no, I didn't want to do that. All right, either way, I'm just Xing out. Okay, so we create a template over here in Mail. We create a follow-up down here, and then in our case, we add a calendar item, which will trigger it. Okay, so those are the 3 things you need to remember for follow-ups. All right, so I'm going down my list of questions here. Oh, custom fields. So we have some new features with custom fields. So in settings, I'm dropping down to the middle here where it says custom case fields. Let's make this a little bigger so we can see what's going on. There we go. All right. So let's say I need to know if, I need to make sure before we go forward that all of my mediators have completed their training, okay? So we'll say this is a really high profile case. So I'm creating a new field just for this. And it's going to be this new one, a matrix checkbox, or you can do a matrix radio. All right, and so here I'm choosing how many rows and how many columns. Make this simple. We'll add 2 rows and 2 columns. I'll hit continue down at the bottom. Okay, so now my row headings, I'm going to say mediator A, mediator B. My column headings, I want to make sure that they've completed their basic training and an advanced divorce training. All right. So I hit continue, that means it's been added. I'll close out of here. Okay, so now I'm going to open up the case. And we can see down here is my new matrix, okay? So here's my new training field. And as things happen, I can check those, okay? So mediator A has completed basic and divorce. Mediator B has only completed basic. All right, so hopefully you're starting to envision some ways that this might be useful for your office. Perhaps you have multiple people that need to turn in multiple sets of documents before the case can be completed, or there are different checkpoints that people have to move through. All right, so if you have any questions about this feature, please let me know. But I think it's a pretty fun one, right? It's a pretty easy way to track information. Like party 1, they've submitted their agreement to mediate, they've paid, okay? So that's how you can use the matrix field. Okay, man, we are flying through these. Again, if you have questions, please jump in and let me know. All right, we're having a lot of people that are asking about export. So I'm going to go through a really basic export, okay? And then why don't you jump in and let me know if you have questions about that. So I'm going to begin, sorry, I should have explained what I'm doing. I'm starting down here in the bottom right where it says cases. And all I'm doing is clicking these 3 buttons, filter, select fields, and export. Filter allows me to filter for what types of cases I want to see. And right now I want to see all of my closed cases, okay? I've got all of these other filter options. All of these come included with the system. Here are my deadline options. We'll talk about deadlines in just a moment. And then down here, of course, these are all of my custom fields. So these are all the fields that I have added to my system. Okay, so I set filter, hit close, and we'll give the system a second to refresh. And now I'm going to have a list of my closed cases. Okay, so now I decide what fields do I want to export. So I hit select fields. I don't care about case ID. What I really need to know is what was their status when they were closed and what's their referral source, okay? I have a grant coming up. They need to know that specific information. So I am just going to include those two fields. So I hit update and then close. We give the system a moment to refresh. And so now you can see that I'm just looking at those two fields, status and referral source, okay? So I hit the first one, filter, I hit the second one, I selected my fields. Now I'm hitting export. Every computer will handle this slightly differently. You can see mine plunks it down as a text field, okay? And this shows up in my downloads. Some people it shows up in their documents. Macs, it seems like they show up most often in their desktop. Obviously, go through this a couple of times yourself to figure out exactly how your computer wants to hide that file. Okay, so I could view this in Microsoft Word if I wanted to send that information out or merge it into a template. But right now, I just want to open up Excel and view it with Excel, okay? So I'm doing all this from scratch, as you can see. Hurry up, Excel. Okay, I will open up a blank workbook. Now, some of you have already created your own template workbook. It's beautiful. So you already have your headers in there. You have your certain fields are bold. You have formulas that are already created. That's great. And that's something that we can actually begin helping you with here at the Caseload Manager office. So if you're not quite sure how to use Excel or how to tweak it in a certain way to get what you need, let us know. That's a new feature that we've added, and we can begin creating those Excel reports for you. Okay, so now what do I do? So now I click on data, get external data. See, that's the one on the left, and from text. Obviously, Excel has a lot of different versions. So sometimes this from text field shows up right up here next to external data. Again, the first couple times you're doing this, it's clunky, right? Because you have to figure out how your system is doing everything. But after you figured it out, it's pretty fast. So anyway, I have to click from text. Okay, so now I need to figure out where in the world is that field. So I know that my computer hides it in downloads. So I go to the top of my downloads. There it is, cases, tab. I click import. And now essentially, I just hit enter 5 times because all the defaults here are exactly what I want. So I go next, 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 finish. Okay, and there it is. Okay, there's my data. I'm going to get rid of this field because I don't really want it. We'll make this row bold. Okay, and so now from here, I can add in additional functions and formulas, and I can create a pie chart from this information to send to include in my grant request. Okay, so I went through that really quickly. I realized that essentially there are 4 things you need to remember. You hit filter, you hit select fields, you hit export, and then you come over here to Excel and you hit get data from text. Okay, so those are the 4 things you need to remember to be able to export. And again, please let me know if you have any questions on this. I have a much more detailed tutorial, or I'd be happy to set up a screen share with all of you. All right, and the next thing we had questions about was people were asking about deadlines. So this is an add-on feature. Some of you have it. I don't think all of you do. And it's down here at the bottom of settings. So what I am saying here is I am deciding, I'm saying that something has to happen within so many days of an earlier action. Okay, so here's a perfect example. I am saying that that a mediation has to be scheduled within 30 days of an intake. Now, a lot of you are saying, I don't really care. Who cares when it actually happens? But there are some of you, for instance, if you're part of a foreclosure program, or there's this case is a mandated court case where you really care, right? It's very important to you that you find out if people are adhering to these deadlines or not. It's pretty simple to set up. I click add, then I'm taken to the next screen where it says, all right, what's the main action? What has to happen? And so I'll say, well, the pre-mediation, no, we'll say summons date has to happen within 60 days of their housing counseling. Okay, so that's the rule for my field, and I need to make sure that my participants are adhering to that, or they are no longer eligible for mediation. Okay, so it can be kind of confusing when you're first looking at it. Mainly, summons date must happen within 60 days of housing counseling. Okay, and this is very important, so I'm going to we'll give it a priority 1. And if it doesn't happen, then those participants are going to be flagged red. You can see I have some custom colors here, or I can just enter in whatever hex code I want. And so now I know if those participants are flagged purple, it means they missed this deadline. Okay, so I'll add my record. So whatever participants miss this deadline, they'll be flagged in that purple, but I can also filter to see if I have any participants or cases who are, now I have 3 options here, who are approaching the deadline, are at the deadline, or who have missed the deadline. Okay, so you might have seen that over here in filter, right? I have this option where I can say they're near the deadline, they've passed the deadline, or they're within, and then I can choose however many days, okay? And then I can also choose, of course, which deadline it is that I'm looking for at the moment. And then finally, over here in reports, I can take a peek at my deadlines that way. Sorry, the Zoom dashboard keeps getting in my way. There we go. So under reports, I can look at deadlines and say, which one do I care about? We'll say this one. Show me the deadline, and I can look at that in detail or in summary, right? So I can get the exact details, or I can get the aggregate information. Anybody who's near the deadline, who's past the deadline, or within so many days, okay? And so there we go. So now it's showing me a quick summary of all of the people who have missed this deadline, okay? All the cases that I need to be concerned about. Okay, so that's the deadlines feature. And so we have a few more minutes. I was planning on going over surveys, but again, if anyone has any questions or any additional things you want me to cover right now, please jump in and let me know. So I'm kind of basing this off of the questions that I'm seeing. And I'm not seeing any. Okay, so I'm going to head over to surveys. This is another one of those add-on features. Some of you have it enabled, some of you don't. So to set up my surveys, I go down here to, ta-da, surveys at the bottom of settings. Okay, and so here are the surveys I've already added. Here's an example. I'll go ahead and click on it. Post-mediation staff survey. You can see this is intended for my staff to fill out. I added this a couple years ago, and so far I have 9 responses, okay? So I can click on the survey itself to see the details of it, which we'll do right now. So you can see you have a lot of leeway for setting up the survey. I can decide who is going to be filling it out. In other words, is this intended for staffs staff or for participants. And just so you know, if it's for a participant, then it goes out from a case. And so it cannot go out to anyone who hasn't already been assigned to that case. And that might seem kind of strange, but think about why. If I were sending out an email saying, hey, what do you think of this mediator, Claire Fowler? Do you think she was horrible or was she wicked cool? And if I could send it to myself, right? If I could send it to the mediator and to the staff, and suddenly I got all this influx of surveys that said Claire is wicked cool, then I might realize my data has been compromised, okay? So that's why we've made this decision to have the default be that only participants can fill it out if they've been added to a case, and it won't go out to anyone else. Anyway, sorry, I probably went into too much detail there. So moving forward, you can enter in, I tried to make this pretty obvious, the text above the survey. You can enter text below the survey, and then you add in your detailed questions here, okay? What's the date, additional comments in a text box, and so on, all right? And then you enter in your survey options on the next page. Okay, so a lot of you are saying, oh, it looks just like custom fields. You're right, it's set up very similarly. 1 second. Oh, good question. I'll come right back to that. I'm just making a note. Okay, so anyway, so we've added our surveys, and then I can view the individual surveys, or get this out of the way. I can view the surveys, or I can view reports on surveys, okay? And of course, I can include individual links to those individual responses, all right? So this is showing me the basic details, and I'm an admin, so I'm able to click on these links and get back in and see the details. Obviously, if you're not an admin, then you shouldn't be able to click back and see the details of the survey, right? Okay, there we go. So somebody was asking about if a timeout feature will be added. And that is an option. It would take some custom programming. We have created that for some other systems. So if it's something that you're interested in, let us know. And obviously we need to clarify a few things with you, like what kind of an alert do you want to get, and what kind of an alert at what time, and then at what time should people actually be timed out. Yeah, so thank you for asking. All right. So I'm trying to end us at exactly 9:30. We're doing pretty well. Any other questions in the meantime? No, all right, here we go. Oh no, did something happen to my audio? Oh, that's not good. Well, okay, I'm not seeing any other caseload manager questions. So, unless any other questions come in, not seeing them. Okay, please send me an email as you have questions to cfowler@mediate.com, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.